Good morning, everyone. It's Karen Whooley, and I hope you're having a great morning because it's Live Wednesday. And I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to see who's all here. I'm going to head over to the comments really quick. But I just want to let everybody know that today's topic is weaving in ends. Someone mentioned it last week. And when I went through my list, I had a lot of people asking about that. So that's why I chose that topic. And we may have done this a little bit before, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently today. I'm going to try something new. So I'm hoping you guys will help me out and make sure that this all works. Because if this works, I may do this more often. Anyway, I'm going to check chat, see who's here. I do have Linda who says she's on her way home, but she'll be here. So I don't know if she's here yet or not, but welcome, Linda. Hopefully you are here. I have Teresa. Good morning, Teresa. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. And Ellie Mae from Cinco Farms. That's awesome. I'm glad you're here. And Stephanie in Texas. Good morning. It's good to see you here. I hope you had a good time at Dallas Fort Worth Fiber Fest. You'll have to let us know how that was. And then Liz is here. Good morning, Liz. Good to see you. And you struggle with light 3-weight silky yarns. Are you talking about weaving in ends? Because I'll address that. I don't think I've talked about it in a way I'm going to show this, but we'll talk about it. So make sure you know what I might do is I might scoop that up as a question so that I have it for later. And then, weaving in ends. Okay, good. I just saw you pop that in. So awesome. And then Judy's here. Good morning, Judy. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. So, okay. Oh, and Charlene is here. Good morning. Everybody's popping in all at once. Good to see you, Charlene. I'm so glad you guys are here. So I am going to we're going to talk about the giveaway. If you guys follow me on Instagram or Facebook or are part of my newsletter, you know I released this pattern. It's called Mint Julep. And I know a lot of people really like the edging, so I'm going to try to get that up close on this one. So I'm going to be giving away the pattern for Mint Julep. The only person who is not eligible this week to win the pattern is Deborah Eaton. She was our winner last week. I don't know that she's here yet, but this is the one. I did this in fingering weight. It's a side-to-side shawl. It's actually I can't remember if it was May or June pattern for the Pattern Club, and I'm releasing it now. So, what was I going to say? So if you may already have it if you're part of the Pattern Club. So if you're not part of the Pattern Club, you can enter to win this pattern. It's done with hot knit yarn. She does some amazing colorways. This is a spring colorway, so the yarn may not be available right now, or the colorway, I should say. I know it's done on her Jimmy sock, and the color is called Cool Mint Pop. I'm not sure if she's got it in her store or not. And I did not get a link for her website, but if you win the pattern or if you purchase the pattern, or if you have the pattern, her information is in the pattern. So just so you guys know, it was June's pattern. Yes, it was June's. I couldn't remember if it was May or June. So this is Mint Julep. So if you are going to want to enter to win, I am going to put up, you need to type into the chat, hashtag Minty, MINTY. So go ahead and do that if you haven't. If you would like to enter to win, hashtag Minty. So I'm going to leave that up for a second. I saw a couple things come in. I saw Kelly came in. Good morning, Kelly. Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Stephanie says, isn't it awesome? Yeah, and Lily is darling. I'm so glad you were able to take classes with her. I hope you got to meet some of the Crochet Texas people. So if not, let me know and I'll hook you up with them. So let me know. And then Charlene said, beautiful. I'm so glad you you think so. It's a fun shawl. It's done side to side. Our theme for the pattern club this year was side to side shawls. So I have a whole bunch of side to side shawls that are in there, and she's still working on it. And Judy listened the last week, and she knew it was coming. So I'm glad you guys are putting in your comments here. So I'm going to take that off the screen. Okay, now I'm going through my list here. So I have a longer list because I have a lot of things to talk about today. So, okay, so we're going to talk about weaving in ends, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time. I just found out that my streaming software will allow me to show a video, and I have already done a video that is not available right now on YouTube, but it will be. I'm going to redo some of it just because I want it to be a little clearer, but I want you guys to see this video when we talk about, I'm going to move this out of the way so it's not bugging us in the camera. So you guys can watch this little video and I can rest my voice. We've been having a lot of smoke with all the fires out this way. And this morning I woke up with a little bit of a frog. So I thought this would be a good way to talk about it, but I will do any little, I will answer any questions at the end of this. So if you have a question, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to share a different screen here really quick. Okay, can you guys see that? I'm also going to make sure that when I start this video, it's a video that I've done, and I'm going to, if you do not hear the sound, let me know and I will readjust. And I am still learning how to do this. So I apologize if we have to stop and restart a couple times, but I want to make sure I did test it, but I just want to make sure that it's working. So hang on one second. Let me, oh, I just saw a couple people came in. Hang on. Hello, Michelle. Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. And Stephanie said, I did meet. Oh, good. Yes, good. I'm glad. They are so awesome. I'm glad you joined them. They are Jan. If you met Jan Scoggins, she's one of my, I've known her for, gosh, 20 years or more. So she's one of the main members there that's been there forever. So I'm so excited. Linda just got in. Yes. Oh, and yes, guys, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button on YouTube, definitely do that. Okay. So I'm going to take myself off the screen and I'm going to mute myself once I start the video, just so you guys know. But I want to go ahead and start and we'll watch the video and then we'll chat. If you have a question before I actually start this, if you have a question about anything that I said in the video or anything about weaving in ends, make sure you type the letter Q, a space, and then your question in chat, and I will scoop them up and answer them after the video is over. So even if during the video something spurs a question, just type it in. I'll be watching the Q. So I'm going to start it right now. It'll be just a second, and here we go. Hi everyone, this is Karen Whooley, and today in this video I'm going to show you how to weave in ends. Now I have a way of weaving in ends that's very different from other people. My grandmother taught me how to do this back in 1974-75, and I've been doing it ever since. And with this particular technique, I have Afghans that I made when I was like 12 years old, and they're 30 plus years old, almost 40 years old now. And I've washed them, my grandmother used them, and they have never had an end pop out. So I have been asked many times to show how to do this, and I decided to finally make a video. So let me first show you how it looks before we get started. And on this particular swatch, I wove in the end right here on the edge. And if you look at it, you can kind of see that it's there. It's a little bit bulkier than farther down, but if you look at it at a distance, you really can't tell that much that it's there. Maybe the bumps on the sides of the double crochets are gone, but other than that, it pretty looks pretty good. And when you get really close, it's hard to tell. That's what's going on right there. Now, when you're working on a flat piece, a lot of times you're going to put an edge right over that, and there's not that much bulk right there. You'll notice it's pretty much the same size as the rest of the piece. So you can crochet right over the top of weaving in your ends and not have to worry about it. So let's get started with how to weave in an end. And the first thing you want to remember is that you need to leave a decent size end. I recommend 6 to 8 inches. This is a little bit longer. This is probably closer to like 16 inches. But I wanted to make sure I had enough to show you what's going on. The first thing you want to do is you want to put your yarn on your hook, or not on your hook, on your needle. But before we do that, I want to talk about using needles when you're weaving in ends. My personal preference are these metal needles with the bent edge. And you'll see as I am working on weaving in this end that the reason why I like the bent end, it allows me to get where I need to go very easily. The one thing I want to recommend to you too is that if you're going to pick a needle to weave in ends, don't pick plastic. The reason being, plastic is usually done in a mold, and when they unmold it, there's seams on either side. And they, as much as they try to make them nice and smooth, there's always a little bit of a rough edge there. And what tends to happen is those rough edges catch on the fibers of your yarn. And then what happens is it pulls and it can ruin or distort your fabric. And I've had a lot of mishaps with that. So I don't recommend anything but steel needles. You can use any size. You always want to pick a size that works with the size yarn you're using. I happen to be, we're using worsted weight right now. So I'm using a big tapestry needle, but if you're using fingering weight or even lace weight, you might need to go with a smaller needle. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put my yarn on the needle. And always make sure there's a little bit of a tail there so it doesn't fall off. And then what I do is I call this the 1, 2, 3 method. I don't know what my grandmother called it. I just call it that because I use 3 steps as I'm weaving in. And we're going to get started. So you're going to start as close as you can to where the yarn is coming out. And you'll notice here's the knot that ends the swatch. And that's where I want to get started. Now, you're always going to work your yarn through the rows of the fabric, never across the stitches. Now, the reason you don't want to go across the stitches is a couple reasons. One is that it makes it easier to buckle your fabric, and nobody wants that. And then the second thing is that it's more visible when you're going across the fabric rather than going down through the rows. So let's get started. First thing you're going to do is 1, go underneath the first strand of yarn, and you'll notice that my needle is going right underneath it. So I'll do that again, right underneath, so you can see the needle is going right through underneath it. And you're going to do 1, and then you're going to do that again for number 2. Here's number 2. So both strands are, the needle is going right underneath them. Now number 3 is different. Number 3, you're actually going to find the next strand, and you're going to use the tip of the needle to split it. And you can see right there where I actually get a little closer, actually split the fibers of the yarn. We're going to do that again. Underneath 1, underneath 1, underneath 2, split number 3. Underneath 1, I split that one. Underneath 1, underneath 2, split number 3. Now when you do this, I just pulled everything out. Let's fix that. 1, 2, and split number 3. Now when you do that, I'm going to leave the needle like that for a second. You want to go at least an inch across. This looks like probably almost 2 inches across. And with wool yarns, that's usually good enough. 1.5 to 2 inches is more than enough. You want to go at least 1 inch, but 1.5 looks great. If you're using a yarn that's slick, like maybe a nylon or a silk
or something along those lines where the yarn tends to slide, you're going to want to go 2, 3, 4 inches maybe. So this is good enough for the wool yarn that I'm using. So once I've got it in there, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pull through. So I'm going to pull through just like that. And then what I do is I kind of pull it a little tighter and then I work it. And you'll notice you can kind of see where it's at, but it's not too visible at this point. So now the biggest question I get with this is, why do we split the yarn? And let me tell you, the reason being is that yarn actually consists of fibers. And when especially with wools, they kind of want to stick to each other. So the way my grandmother described it is that the yarns want to lock into themselves. So by splitting the yarn, you're splitting some of the fibers and you're making them rub against each other. And by rubbing against each other, they tend to want to be sticky, and then the yarn won't pull through. I'm trying to pull my fingers apart and they're so tight right now, I can't pull my fingers apart. Same idea with the yarn. So now, this isn't finished quite yet. Now we want to go back the way we just came to finish up the weaving in of the ends. So first thing you want to do is look for the yarn where you just split that strand. And instead of splitting it this time, you're going to go right underneath it. That's 1, 2. And then I'm going to do 3 at the same time. Right here is the strand that I wove in. And I want to try to split that strand if I can see it. Now, all the time, you're not going to be able to see it. But when you do see it, if you can do it, split it. So I split this guy. Oops. Now I'm going to go under 1, under 2. Now I can't see the yarn, so I'm going to do 3 right here. And then 1. And then this is one that was split before. I'm going to go 2 underneath that one. And then here's 3. I'm going to split the yarn that I wove through. And then the last I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to make the split as close as I can to where the yarn started. And then I'm going to pull that through. And then I'm going to work it a little. And sometimes you have to work it a little more. And then you're going to cut. Now to cut the yarn, what I do is I tug it just a little bit to make it pucker. And then I cut the yarn. And then what I do, you can see the tails right there. I just kind of work it so that the tail gets tucked inside. And now you can kind of see where it is, but at a distance, it's a little puffy, but not too bad. On this particular piece, I would probably go a little closer to the edge. I just wanted to make sure that you could see what I was doing. And usually I will work right on the edge, kind of like I did on this side. You'll see that right here, I worked right on the edge. But I wanted you to be able to see where I was going here. So you can see it's a little bit puffier here. But as you work it, and usually after I'm done, I sit here and I'll play with it for a little bit. And after I block it, that'll disappear. In fact, it's already starting to disappear. If you look, oops, pull that down. There you go. It's already starting to disappear. Now, if you're working in the round, there's a couple things you want to remember. You're always going to want to try to stop the yarn at the end of the row or the round, excuse me, so that all of your seams are going to be, or all of your woven in ends are going to be right down the middle of the back. Usually that's why when you're working in the round, wherever the seam is, that is the back side of your hat or glove or whatever you're working. And again, you're going to work down and back. You're never going to go across, because again, you're going to see it a lot more than you see it right here. And the other thing I want to mention that I forgot to mention at the beginning is that when you have your tails on a flat piece, you always want to make sure they're on the outside edges. You never want to try to do it in here. The chance of seeing your seam is so much easier, or not your seam. The chance of seeing the woven in end is so much bigger, even on the wrong side or on the right side of the fabric, if you do it in the middle of the yarn or in the middle of the project rather than on the edge. So that's just a big tip that I want to make sure that you guys got. And that's how I weave in ends. Now, before I go, I want to just make sure that I say thank you to Cascade Yarns. They sponsored this video by supporting me with the yarn to make this video. The yarn I actually used is their Cascade 220, which is the favorite for everyone to felt with. And this is the color green tea. So thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my videos here on.
Okay, there's the end of the video. Otherwise you get all the promotional stuff at the end. I'm going to put myself back on screen here. Hang on a second. There we go. Okay, so you guys could hear it okay, first of all, before we go anywhere else. I just want to make sure. I saw that Kelly said she saw it, heard it fine. So if you guys have any questions for me, let me know, or comments, anything, let me know about it. But before I do that, I know a few people popped in before or before I started the video, but after I did the giveaway, I want to let everybody know I'm giving away a copy of the pattern Mint Julep, which I just released yesterday. Okay. So if you don't already have this copy or this pattern, definitely watch the video and see, or definitely enter to win. And to enter to win, let me share. Hang on one second. Let me stop that. And then I'm going to share. Hang on a second, guys. There we go. If you want to enter to win a copy of Mint Julep, you're going to type in Minty, hashtag Minty, into the chat. So I just want to make sure that those of you who didn't see this at the beginning can enter to win. So I'm going to take that off. And then we'll talk about the video now. Everybody said, Linda said she heard it fine. Was it loud enough for you guys? I mean, did you have to turn up the volume? I'm trying to learn of what this is doing. So it's different on my end than it is on yours because it's coming through my computer. So I'm not sure if it was loud enough or anything like that. Liz says, great information. Good. Okay. And Charlene says it was good. Great. Okay. And okay. And Kelly's got a question. So I'm going to go back to this. Okay. And good morning, Susanna. I'm so glad you joined me this morning. It's great to have you here. I know Susanna from the local yarn shop I used to do a lot with when I lived over on the west side. I still do a lot with her of the state, but I'm so glad she's here. Good morning. Linda says the volume sounded fine on her regular settings. Good. And Susanna sounds good to me. Okay. And okay. Okay. I'm going to get the questions scooped up. I'm going to go start answering questions here. So I'm going to start with Ellie Mae, who asked about with light silky yarns. Did I give you enough information, Ellie Mae, before I go any farther on talking about this? I just wanted to mention, I did talk about nylon in that video. And one of the things you can do with nylon is, I don't know if there's a lot of nylon. I mean, like 100% nylon, because I have done like tote bags and things like that with nylon and 100% nylon, I should say. And you can actually use a lighter or a match and melt the end a little bit too with nylon so that it melts into itself. That's what I recommend when, in fact, hopefully next year I'll be working on some projects using nylon yarn that I want to revamp. And I will do a video on how I weave in the ends and then melt the end so it melts into itself. You just want to make sure you don't melt it too much that it turns black and you can see it, especially if you're using white nylon. But that's something that I wanted to definitely talk about. Now, Ellie Mae said, yep, this worked for her. The couple things that I wanted to mention too with weaving in ends is there are a lot of people who think all you need to do are either tie a knot and cut it really short and you're done. And I can tell you from experience, not from my own experience, but from experiences of some of my students in the past. I remember when I was living in California and I had a student there who did that. And she was working on an Afghan and she tied the knots and she went to wash her Afghan in the washing machine. And back then, you know, more of the upright or the top load washers had the agitator in them. And I'm sure a lot of you still have the agitator ones. I mean, they still sell them. They're getting less and less common. But if you have an agitator, those knots can get caught in the agitator. And what happened to her was she had a couple knots that got caught and it pulled the yarn. So everything just buckled in and it destroyed her Afghan. So I always tell everyone there's 2 knots that are allowed in crochet. One is the slip knot at the beginning of the, you know, before you make your chain or do a foundation chain or whatever. And number 2 is the fasten off knot. Those are the only 2 knots that are allowed in crochet. My grandmother told me that, and I still use it to this day. Every once in a while, I'll do a magic knot when I am. If you don't know what the magic knot is, I'll talk about that in another live, maybe, if you guys are interested in that. But I'm gonna put this back up because of that, there's a couple problems. They get caught on things, and then also they add bulk to different spots of the Afghan. Now, if that's not a problem for you, then you can go ahead and continue to do knots, but I wouldn't recommend it. The second thing is that now I lost my train of thought. Oh, a lot of people like to crochet over their ends. But if you don't lock the yarns in, and I have worked on this and worked on this, especially working in the round. A lot of people like to work over the tail. You know, they start in the center and then they'll work over the tail. It eventually works itself out, and then your tail shows. And if you cut it too short, you can't weave it in later. So even though it's time consuming and a lot of people don't like it, every single project I ever do, whether it's Afghans, joining squares, you know, garments similar to the one I have back here, which I'll talk about later, my shawls, everything, hats, Tunisian, doesn't matter what I do. Even in knitting, I weave in my ends like this. In fact, I found a very popular knitter. I can't think of who it is right now, but a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I saw she has a video and weaving in ends exactly the way I just showed you in this video. So honestly, and most importantly, I honestly think weaving in ends is your best bet. I mentioned my grandmother's blanket that I have. I should have pulled it out. I made it when I was 12 years old back in 1979. And she used it and washed it. I used it and washed it with my kids. After she passed away, it came back to me. There's not an end that came out. And it was done in the 1970s ripple, where you did 2 rows of single crochet ripple and then you change colors. So I had tons of color changes and ends to weave in. And my mom and my grandmother made me sit there and weave them all in myself. And none of those ends have come out ever. If I can remember next live, I'll try to bring it out so I can show you guys. But this is the way to go with weaving in ends. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay. So I saw a couple more things came in live. So I just want to make sure. Oh, I just saw a couple people came in. Good morning. Renee, good morning. Good to see you. Don't worry about it. Definitely make sure you watch the replay, because I just showed a video on how to weave in ends. Carlene's here. Good morning, Carlene. You weave in ends. Good. I'm so glad. Susanna said, my All Hallows Eve shawl is coming along on a roast. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I can't wait to see it. Susanna is actually using yarn she spun herself. So I really hope that she'll give me a finished picture that I can share on social media to show you guys. So I'm really excited. Okay, so next question. I'm going to take that on off. And next question is from Kelly. And she says, I think I recall you mentioning that you split your tail yarn and wove in the ends different directions. Do I recall that correctly? And when do you do that? Bulk yarn. Oh, when I was showing the video and I said the yarn that I wove through, that is the tail yarn. So when I weave it the first way, and then I come back the second direction, and I said that's the yarn I wove through, that is the tail. So I do it with all yarns. Even in nylon, I do it with silky yarns. I do it with just 100% wool. I do it with everything. Any yarn, any tail I weave in, if I can see the tail coming through the first direction, I will always split it. Now, there are times, especially with lace weight, you can't always tell if it's the tail or not. So if I miss it, it's okay, but I try to always split my tail at some point along the way, coming back the second way. And there are times, even with silky yarns, especially lace weight with silk in it, or 100% lace weight silk, I will go down, up, and then back down. So I'll go 3 times through it because the silk makes things kind of want to separate. So does that help, Kelly? I hope that makes sense. I'm just going to go back here. Okay. All right. Kelly, let me know if you have any other questions on that one. And then Judy says, where do you get that style of tapestry needle? I get them all over the place. Let me find my needles here. I know they're here somewhere. Okay. These are Clover, the brand Clover. You can get them on Amazon. I got these at my local yarn shop. I also know that Michaels carries these. Now, finding them in smaller they come in different colors too. I know I had a blue one at one point. I don't think it's in this set. I had a blue and a red one, but I don't have them here. But then I also, if I can't find these, in the past, I bought tapestry needles that are straight. I also get them at Michaels or Amazon. And then for my finer weight yarns, I get a size 10 tapestry needle, which Michaels and Joann's and Hobby Lobby and any of your big box stores. I don't know in Canada if you have any of those, but they will have size 10 tapestry. Sewing stores will always have size 10 tapestries. And I know you can get these on Amazon. So those are where I get those needles. But these are my favorite, especially for anything DK weight or above. And sometimes I'll use them on fingering when I am like seaming something, because that curve allows me to get underneath the strands when I need to. And it actually helps me when I'm splitting yarn. I don't know if you could tell, it helped get to the split too. But yeah, these tapestry needles are my absolute favorite. Clover makes them. I know there's other brands that make them too, but Clover is pretty much what I always see. So make sure you just check them out. And you can always, just go online and type bent tip tapestry needle and find them that way too. And like I said, the smaller you go from these, it's hard to find. But ones, in fact, I don't have anything smaller right now because all the ones that I did have from back in the day are gone. Somehow they've either fallen, on the floor and it got vacuumed up or something like that. But I don't know that they still make those anything smaller than these out there. But if anybody finds them, let me know. I'd love to know where to get them because I miss those hooks or those needles. Okay, so I'm going back to chat here. Okay, so everybody's here saying, oh, Susanna, of course, sending me pictures. Yes, and progress pictures as well. Good. I'm so excited. And Charlene says, great tip. I'm glad these are good tips for you guys. And Kelly said, I made sense. Yes, okay, Linda, tell me where you got the 3 different colors and different sizes. Let me know where you got. Oh, Joann's, she just posted it at Joann's. Okay, so I'm gonna have to check Joann's and see, getting different sizes. But yeah, I have 3 that are, or I have a blue and a red that are this size, but I don't have smaller ones. So that'll be great to go find. Awesome. Anybody else have a question on any of this stuff? I'm gonna grab a sip of my coffee here. Any tips about weaving in ends, or any problems that you've had with weaving in ends you want to talk about? Anything else? Did you, oh, and then also too, along with that did you like me showing a video like that? I mean, I don't have a whole lot of those right now, but eventually I would like to do more of those that I can actually show on a live stream like this. So if you like that kind of thing, let me know too. Susanna says yes, and I'm not sure. I'm assuming yes that you'd like to have me do more videos like this. Okay, and love the video. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good to hear, you guys. I might have a few other videos that are short, like that 10 minutes or so, that I could probably show in the future, depending on the topic. I'll have to go through my videos and see what I've got out there. But yes, my hardest to weave in are polyester velour wormy type yarn. Yes. If you don't know what Charlene's talking about, it's the chenille yarns. They call them velour, chenille. Those are, they call them wormy because even crocheting and knitting, actually doing the project. In fact, my mother-in-law was making a blanket for a future grandchild that's coming in December out of this yarn, this velour yarn. And she was showing it to me, and all the, she's doing garter stitch and not garter stitch, stockinette. So it's flat on one side and bumpy on the other, but the yarn is just starting to work its way out of the stitches. And it does the same thing with crochet. That's the nature of the chenille / velour wormy yarns. I call it wormy. Everybody calls it wormy, really, that they come out. But weaving in the ends is the same thing. The chenille yarns have a center core that the chenille's worked into. So that's what you want to split when you're weaving in those ends. Usually washing the velour chenille yarns and somehow blocking them will get the worminess to be better, but they eventually work themselves out again. And so I have a real hard time using the velour types yarns and the chenilles, only because of that. And that's why you don't see me design with those as much anymore. I used to back in the day a lot, because I love the feel of them. I love how soft they are, but I don't design much with them anymore, especially now that they're coming back. I don't know if I don't know if I will pick up some yarn and just play with it and see, but we'll see. Okay, Liz says, maybe we didn't discuss weaving in with multicolor yarn or when we change yarn colors from row to row. Okay, good question. If you're changing colors like every single row, okay, now there's a couple things. Okay, so if you're changing, let's say you're using 3 yarns, 3 colors, and you do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can actually carry the yarn up if you're doing just 3 colors without cutting and weaving the ends till you get to the very end. Okay, and that is something I'm going to have a pattern coming out next year. I think it's going to be in August that has that technique. I have a few patterns already that use that technique. For the one that comes to mind right now that uses that technique is the ocean throw. I know there's others out there that do the same thing. Where you're changing out. I do not cut the yarn until I get to the very end and weave those in. Okay, but if you're doing something like the blanket that I mentioned, the chevron blanket I made for my grandmother, that every 2 rows I change the color, all the colors are on the same side. You still do the same thing. You still want to work in on the sides. If you're going to edge it, it doesn't matter if you stay within the same color, because if you edge it, you're going to cover over where a white might go into a green or something like that. But if you're not going to edge it, and this is a huge caveat, I will say, that is the only time that I would say go across the row and back. However, you have to be extremely, extremely careful when you're doing that, because it will be seen. It will also cause your fabric to buckle. So when you work the fabric, you know, like I was doing, I was working the fabric. You have to work it for quite a while to even get it to a point, but you are never not going to be able to see it. So if it's only one row and it's just single crochet, go across this way. But if it's double crochet or taller, use the edge. When you're working in the round, it was something like that, you are going to go wherever you join, whatever you consider the join, even if you're just working in a spiral, wherever the join is, work up and down. If you're using multicolor yarn, it's basically the same thing. You want to try to keep within the color that you're working in, but not necessarily, because sometimes you'll cut the tail right at the edge of, maybe it was white that you were working on and now you've got pink, you know, and the tail's all pink. There's nothing you can do. You are just going to have to do it. But the cool thing about multicolor yarn, I mean, if it's a long striping, if it's true variegated yarn, it doesn't matter. You can weave any color into any color and it's going to be just fine. But, or a speckle or anything like that. But if you're working with long striping or gradients, you're going to want to try to keep the color in the color that it is, so you don't see it, unless you're going to edge it. If you're going to edge it, then you can go anywhere you want as far as color, because the edging should cover that for you. Does that make sense, Liz? Okay. Crocheting is slightly better than knitting the chenille. Yes, slightly, slightly, but not. I mean, I did a purse years ago out of the chenille, and it wormed so bad, crocheted. It was just wow. Okay, Sharon. Good morning, Sharon. Good to see you here. How do you handle the inner thick core of the worming yarns? They often shed the fuzzy outer portion and leave just the inner core. This is one of the reasons why I don't design with them anymore. Honestly, there's really not a whole lot you can do. It's the way they're made, especially back in the day when I was using chenilles in the 90s. There was really nothing you could do about the shedding. I mean, because basically, for those of you who've never worked with a chenille yarn, it's like a woven thread, kind of like a chain ply, if you know what a chain ply is. That's the center core. And then I'm not sure how they manufacture it, but basically what happens is the chenille fibers are like in that core. So there's two ends sticking out. One is on one side, one's on the other, and they're somehow built into that core. And what it happens as you wear a chenille sweater, and if you were in the 80s or 90s wearing chenille sweaters that you bought at the store, you know how there'll be spots that the chenille would wear off and you'd see the core knit it like an elbow or places that rubbed. And there's really nothing you can do about that. Now, I would think, I don't know, because I haven't really looked into chenille yarns lately. I just know they are coming back. I know that Bernat has some that are blankets, made for blankets. And the one that my mother-in-law is using, I can't remember the brand she's using, but I will say that I would hope they have found a way to manufacture it that it doesn't do that, but I can't guarantee that. I have, like I said, I haven't looked into it, but I would hope with technology, the way it's moved from the 90s to now, they would have found in the last 20 plus years ways to make that stop happening or happen less. Honestly, that's why I don't use them anymore. I don't even recommend them anymore. I may pick up a skein here or there. I did use Bernat's blanket yarn, which is the chenille, and crocheted a blanket for my daughter not too long ago, big bulky weight. So far, so good. It hasn't come apart, but it's not the typical chenilles that we used back in the day, because back in the day they were finer, they weren't as bulky, and the core would always shed. I now will see, because she's had it for a few months, and I will be up there next month at some point. Well, actually, I'll be up there next week. I can check it out and see, but I don't know for sure. I mean, It's just that that's the nature of chenilles. They shed. And she has had some shedding because I remember it was shedding when I was crocheting it. So we'll see. Okay, so Liz says edging is probably the best for me. I use a large hook and I'm a loose crocheter. Edge, I'm eager to try weaving in down rather than across too. Yes, try it. Definitely try. It does, I will tell you, it does take some practice. The first few times I would do it on a swatch because to get used to the idea of what I'm doing, because there's a knack to working it too. And sometimes I'll work it a lot before I cut the tail. And then once I've worked it, then I'll yank the tail a little bit, cut it, and then work it again so that the tail goes in. But it does take some practice. And sometimes you have to go wider spaces between going under strands and stuff. So that's why I say definitely do a swatch first before you start doing it on your garments or anything that you're giving to someone that you're going to wear or that kind of thing. So if that helps. Okay, Stephanie says, would you weave in the same way on? Yes. Yes, I would. And I have. I wish I had the piece, but it's at my son's house. I did a size 20 thread filet crochet first communion banner for my son when he was 8 years old in second grade when he received his first communion. He is now 26. And that's exactly how I wove in the ends is on the edge. But of course I did do an edging on the piece so it hid the thread. But yes, if you're using thread or lace weight or whatever, it's always on the edges. Always on the edges. Doesn't matter how lacy it is or open mesh rows, things. There's always going to be a row of double crochet on the filet crochet piece on the edge. So you definitely want to go through that. And I do it with cotton thread all the time. Cotton is one of the ones that I'll go 4 inches before I come back the other direction, because cotton is another one that it tends to, the plies want to unwind. So I want to have a good, 3 to 4 inches going one way and 3 to 4 inches going the other way. Anybody else? Okay, for those of you who came in late, I am giving away Mint Julep. It just got released yesterday. If you were part of the pattern club, you've already gotten this pattern. So you may not want to enter to win, but this is what I'm giving away. And in order to win in the chat, make sure you type in the word Minty. At the very end, before I sign off, I'm going to do a drawing. So make sure that you enter to win if you'd like to get a free copy of this. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. The only person who's not available eligible to win is Deborah Eaton. I don't think she's popped in. So I don't think she's popped in. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, but definitely type in Minty, hashtag Minty, I should say. The hashtag's not there. It's not going to register. Okay. So if you think of any other questions, thank you. I love the drape on it too. I mentioned before I used hot knit yarns, Jimmy Sock in the color Cool Mint Pop. It's a seasonal color that comes out usually in the spring. She may have a few hanks left in her shop now if you're interested in that colorway, but that's what I used. I forgot to get a link to her, but she is on Instagram and I believe she's on Facebook too. So Karen, disregard my entry. I already made the shawl. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I saw it. In fact, I'm going to be posting it later this week, the picture of it. So, okay. So I've got a few things I want to show you. First, let's talk about, if you have questions on weaving in ends that pop up as I'm doing this, go ahead and ask them because I'm glad to answer them. Okay. So finished projects this week. I think I showed you the first sock last week, finished them this week. Finally, we are watching football. I love to knit socks. So this is what I did as I finished the set. If you're interested in the pattern, it's knit. It's the Daily Sock or Daily Socks. I can't remember, by Summer Lee Knits. It's really a fast knit if you're a knitter. The only thing I changed with the heels is she did a heel flap and gusset, and I like afterthought heels. They fit my feet better. So I did finish those. I'm so excited. So they're my first Socktober, because next month starts Socktober socks that I did this year. I actually am going to be casting on another pair of socks that I'll be working on intermittently in October. But these are the ones that I finished. So I'm really excited. Okay. Second thing I want to show you is this poncho. I showed you on social media. Now, the light's just not great for this right now. This is really a light blue, but it looks really dark here. This is a poncho that is going to be released next May. So you got to wait till May. But I did promise you guys that I would show you the finished piece. So it's basically a rectangle I seam. And I'm going to lift her here. This is Penelope. And it's seamed in such a way so it's got a point on one side, and then the back is flat. And it comes in 2 different sizes. The pattern will be done in 2 different sizes. I'm actually toying with a 3rd size. So definitely, I just wanted to show you guys that. I'm finishing it up now. It's going to be going to tech editing pretty soon. So I wanted to show you guys that. And then I just saw Stephanie popped in with a question on mint julep. I'm on the last increase row. I think I have enough yarn to do an. Oh, cool. Okay. Cool. So if you've done more, let me know. I would like to know how it all works out for you. And Susanna, yep, it's October coming up. And love it. I'm thinking you guys are talking about this. And and May's your birthday month. Okay. So will the pattern be out that month? So there you go. I'm glad you guys like the poncho. Oh, and Stephanie's in May too. Awesome, guys. Lots of May birthdays here. Okay, and the third thing I promised I'd show you when I took it off the blocking board, this is the shawl that will be the free pattern for 2023 for newsletter subscribers. So if you are subscribed to my newsletter, you automatically get this. If you're not subscribed to my newsletter right now, you can subscribe now and get 2022's free pattern, and on January 1st, you'll get this one. And then anybody who subscribes in 2023 will get this. So this is the shawl that is going to be the free pattern for the newsletter. It is finished. I just have to do some finishing on it. And then it goes to tech edit and photography and all that stuff. So I love the way this turned out. It came out better than what I was envisioning. So it's a fairly simple pattern. It just has a couple little tweaks where you're changing colors. And if you've done my Utsalati Point shawl, it's the same kind of color changes. So there you go. And Linda likes the diamond pattern. And she's glad she signed up. So if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, I'm going to put the banner up here really quick for you guys. There's the link to subscribe to my newsletter. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe, because on January 1st, it will be free. And then on January 1st, this year's pattern, which is called Southwest Spice, will become a paid pattern. So make sure that if you subscribe now, you'll get both of them for free. So there you go. And I see comments coming in. That purple is pretty. That place right around the corner for me. Are we talking about Stilly? This is Stilly River. Yes. Awesome, guys. Okay. So let's see what's next. All right, let's talk about what is new. Oh, I should show you first I'm going to start working on. I'm actually going to swatch. I've shown you guys this yarn before. I'm going to put up the link for this one here really quick. This is Molly Klein Design Sweet Tea Yarns. Here's a hank so you can see it. Oops, I'm going to try to get her label out. Sweet Tea Yarns is her sweet sock yarn in the color Luna. I've showed this to you before when I got it in the shop. I'm actually just wound this cake up this morning because I'm starting on the first pattern for my next book. I've already got it written. It's just ready to stitch up now. So I'm going to be working on that. So that is what's new on my hook. Okay, so what's new in the studio? The first thing is Friday was a really good mail day for me. I got 2 things in the mail, and I think I mentioned this last week that I had some things that I had ordered that I've been waiting for, and some of them finally came in. So this is called it's Supernova sock. The dyer is Wild Star Fibers. She's actually local to me as well. She was more local to me when I lived on the other side of the state, but she is a Pacific Northwest dyer, Washington State. Nakia, I think is how you say her name, is the dyer. The colorway is called Enemies to Lovers. I have her website right there on the screen. This is kind of a creamy base with speckles that are neon. So it's like orange and yellow, and there's some pink in there. And I just fell in love with how this looked on the screen when she put it up in her shop. So I ordered it. It was a pre-order because she was doing a series of colors. I believe they were like romance novel themed kind of thing. But this colorway just struck me. So I had to get a skein of it. I know that Stilly River Yarns over on the west side of the state carries her yarns. So I trust Lindsay in all of her dyers. So that's why I went ahead and ordered it. And I'm not sorry. It's really soft. It's Supernova sock, 85% superwash merino, 15 nylon. It's fingering weight, obviously. 437 yards for 100 grams. And it's super soft. So I'm excited to break into that one. I have a couple ideas. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, 100%, but I do have some ideas for that. Okay, so that's Wild Star Fibers. Then I also got, and I think I alluded to this a couple shows ago, but I ordered this book back in April called Charming Colorwork Socks. You guys know how much I love socks, knitting socks especially. When it comes to other people's patterns, I love to knit socks. And she does the best. I just love Charlotte Stone is her name. She lives somewhere in the UK somewhere or in Europe. But if you follow her on Instagram or I don't know if she's on Facebook. I follow her on Instagram. She's Stone Knits and she does socks. She releases socks almost every month. I mean, there might be a month in between some of them, but she does the best colorwork socks as far as knitting, as far as I'm concerned. And I have to show you the one. Okay, so this is called Eggs for Easter. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's a small pattern picture, but it's chickens laying an egg and the toe is a fried egg. Isn't that the cutest thing ever? I love those. But then there's another one I really want to show you that I think I'm going to do really quick is I should have marked them. I didn't mark them. Hang on. That's not it. She's got food. She's got like cherries. She's got pumpkins. She's got lavender, which is the one I'm trying to find. The cover was the Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I'm trying to find this is the one I really want to make right now. If I can find it. Here we go. This is Blooming Lavender. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. So, and then she's got sheep. She's got puppies. She's got foxes. She's got, just general color work like Summer Meadow pattern, all sorts of stuff. So if you are like knitting socks and are interested in knitting socks, this is new in my studio and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I have a link here to Amazon where you can get it. Or you can actually go to, if you look up Stone Knits on Instagram, I think she's got other links in her bio, so where you can get it. But this is the Amazon link. It is, so you guys know, it is an affiliate link because I am an affiliate for Amazon. So if you use that one, and I will make sure that link is in the stories when I finish here. Okay. And then the last thing that came in, it just came in yesterday. I've talked about Nanette Wake's studio several times. She's a local dyer also. She lived really nearby where I was on the west side. And she does a monthly yarn club that she doesn't do the yarn club like most people do, where it's you buy 3 months in or 6 months in or 9 months in or whatever, sometimes it's a full year, you have to buy up front. She does it month to month, and you can order it or you don't have to order it. So this is the first time I've actually done her yarn club, because the colorway was Westport, Washington. And she's been going through doing her yarn club as places that she's visited over the years. And Westport, Washington is where my son used to teach. It's where he got his first teaching job. And Westport's on the coast of Washington, in the middle of the cranberry bogs down there. It's a beach town. His house where he lived in, the first place he lived, was literally, less than 5 minutes from the beach. It's a beautiful part of Washington. And so when she said Westport, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get this, just because my son used to teach there. He taught there until this year. This is his first year not teaching in Westport. He's now in a different city here in Washington, closer to Seattle. But anyway, so I got the colors not yesterday, day before yesterday. So this is the yarn. It's a sock set, which is kind of cool, because then I can use this for the heel and the toes. And this is the main body. It's Westport, so you've got the blues of the ocean and the greens of the because there's, Washington's the evergreen state. So there's like the pines and all the evergreen shrubs and everything. And then she's got speckles in there, and there's a little bit of a cranberry in there, which reminds me of the cranberry bogs, because the house that my son was renting when he was living down there. He lived in 2 different places. Last year he was in an apartment, but for the first 2 years he was in a house that he was renting. That was literally, his backyard was the cranberry bogs. So you got to see the process of growing and harvesting cranberries, which was really cool. But not only does her yarn club come with the yarn, she also sent a candle. This is from Seattle Candle, and it's evergreen fir, cedar, moss, and amber. And it's a soy candle, and it says it burns for 25 hours. So I'm really excited to burn it. It smells wonderful. And then it also came with a stitch marker. Now, this is going to be hard to show you guys, but it's a stitch marker of the mountains. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that there's a mountain in a circle there with a little blue bead, but it's also it's a locking stitch marker. So for crocheters, it's perfect. So I highly recommend following Nanette Wake Studio on Instagram. She is, I believe it's just Nanette Wake Studio altogether. And she's going to be doing kits, every month. So you can check it out. She always gives you an inspiration photo. She doesn't show the yarn until she's shipped them. So if it's an inspiration photo that you like, I would definitely I recommend getting it, because her dyeing process is wonderful. And I have actually 2 patterns next year that'll be coming out with her yarns. So I'm really excited to show you those. I saw there's a bunch of people chatting. So I've been talking and not paying attention here. Carlene loves that shawl. Thank you. Okay. Purple's so pretty. It is. That yarn in that purple shawl is from Polka Dot Fiber Arts, I believe. Polka Dot Sheep yarns. That's what it is. In the pattern, I'll have all the detailed information about the colorways. That place right around the corner from me. Oh, Atsalati Point is right around the corner from you. That's right. Atsalati Point is there. Lindsay Carey's Wild Star. If you're talking, that's what I was saying. I trust her all the time. The name of the book, Charming Colorwork Socks. So there you go, Linda. Check her out for sure. I'm not sure who you were going to check out, but if it's Charlotte, definitely check her out. Also check out Nanette Wake. I don't think Lindsay carries Nanette Wake. I don't think Nanette does wholesale, but I could be wrong. I know she does done Fiber Fusion in the past. She wasn't there this past year. because she had a conflict in commitments, but yes. And the sock set is Westport. It is not a color that she's going to keep in stock. This is for her yarn club. And I had to order this in August to get it for October. So this is just, I know that she did post pictures of it in her, but I don't know that she's going to put it in her repertoire catalog, because this is for the yarn club, just so you know. What base is that? Or what base is that sock set? She does a fingering weight. It's 85 merino, superwash merino, and 15% nylon. And this is an 100 gram. The big one is 100 grams, and it's 437 yards. And the small one is 20 grams, and it's 87 yards. She has lots of sock sets. In fact, she just came out with a sock set for Christmas. They're already on her website, so you might want to check those out. She's got tons of sock sets. Some of them are one of a kind, and most of them are repeatables that she does. This I don't think is going to be a repeatable, but I've used her sock sets for things other than socks. So that might be what happens here with this particular set, because I really think this might be something else. I've got an idea for it. Oh, and you were just on the website now, have color overload. If you're talking about Nanette, she's got so many great colors. I should show you. I got these from Nanette not too long ago. I think I showed these to you when I got them. These are from Nanette. These are her minis. Well, I wouldn't call them necessarily minis, but they're half skeins. She calls these half skeins. So instead of the 437, these are 218 yards. So each. So these are her half skeins. So she has all sorts of different things, but I love Nanette's colors. And like I said, next year I have 2 patterns coming out with her colors. So be watching for those. Okay. Anything else, guys? I think I might go ahead and do the giveaway, unless you guys have questions for me. Okay. I'm going to give you guys one more chance to enter the giveaway. So Renee, I did see your thing about you already have the pattern. So if you come up, I will just draw again. But before I do the drawing, it's Minty, and it's for the Mint Julep pattern, if you're interested in winning that pattern. So I'm going to count down from 5, and then I'm going to hit draw. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see. Judy won. Congratulations, Judy. I'm going to give you some of my confetti too. So there you go. Congratulations, Judy. I am going to put you down right now so I don't forget. Today's the 28th. I can't believe today is the 28th of September. Okay. So Judy, I will put that in your account today, probably right after I do this. So you'll get an email telling you that you have it in your account, so you can go log in and grab it. So I'm so excited that you got it. So everybody's saying congratulations. We got lots of congratulations here. Judy says yay. And Judy says, I'm glad I waited. Yay. Yeah. And Susanna says, congratulations. For those of you who are on my newsletter, or if you follow me on social media, I have discount codes to get the pattern at discounted prices. Newsletter subscribers always get 25% off. And actually, that's going to go up in January. Just so you guys know, you're going to have a bigger discount in January. And then social media for right now has a I believe it's 10% off, might be 15% off. So if you follow me on social media, you have a code. If you're on my newsletter, you have a code. So check those out. But congratulations, Judy. I'm so excited you won. I'm going to take this off the screen. I'm going to come back. Okay, so a couple things before I go is next week I will not be here. My daughter's best friend is getting married over on the west side of the state on Friday, believe it or not. Most weddings I've ever been to are on Saturdays, so this is kind of interesting that it's going to be on Friday. But next Wednesday, I will be actually with my daughter and my grandson driving across the state so my daughter can be there for her bachelorette party, and I'm in charge of James for the weekend. So I'm really kind of excited about that. So we're driving over together, and then going to the wedding on Friday, and then I'll be back sometime Saturday or probably Sunday because I got to drive her back to Spokane first and then drive down here. So anyway, so I will not be here next week. So don't be watching for that. Excuse me, guys. Oh, gosh. Okay. But I will be back, I believe, unless things change, on the 12th. The 12th is the next Wednesday after next week. So I should be here for that. I don't have a topic yet, but what I'm hoping to do is in the next week or so is before I leave, actually, is to come up with 3 different topics for the 3 Wednesdays in October and have them already pre-scheduled. So I'm going to be watching for that. But I will be on social media. I'm sure you guys will see me popping around. And for those of you who are pattern testers, make sure you're watching the Volley app, because the Volley app is, I already put up 2 pattern tests in Volley, and I will be picking people Friday, Saturday-ish. So make sure you've done that. And what else am I going to talk about? I think that's it for now. Okay. So anybody have any last minute questions or something you want to ask me? Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and sign off because we are like at 10:15 my time almost. So I've gone 15 minutes over, well, 11 minutes over. But I just want to make sure that you guys, I've got all your questions answered. I'm going to take that banner off the bottom though here really quick. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Have a great weekend. Have a great week next week. And I will see you on October 12th. Bye, y'all.